Every day I come here and I talk about the corruption and criminality of the Republican Party, and let's be honest, it's pretty widespread. But corruption and criminality isn't limited to just Republicans. No, the Democrats have their issues too. We just happen to be focusing on the Republicans because, in addition to the normal everyday financial crimes done by politicians, the Republicans are also trying to overturn elections, undermine democracy, and overthrow the government. So you got to have priorities. We've got to put out that dumpster fire before we can focus on the average day-to-day political crimes. Now, I could sit here and talk about Republicans that have taken bribes or corrupt in some way. But if something like this happens in the Democratic Party, I would be remiss if I don't talk about it. I've always said I'm not Democrat or Republican. I don't see the fight between Democrats and Republicans. I see the fight between them, the politicians on both sides, and us. It's us that are taking the beating, not the Democrats or the Republicans. Well, Senator Robert Menendez, the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, was indicted today by federal prosecutors in New York on charges that he accepted bribes. He accepted bribes. His wife was charged too. Old Nadine was charged. Well, it's a family affair. I'm not a singer, but you get my point. His home was raided, and you know what they found in his home? They found $100,000 worth of gold bars. Well, who doesn't have that? And $480,000 in cash. Apparently, he got this money in exchange for official acts that aided Egyptian American businessmen and the Egyptian government. Well, shit. This is a Democrat. He found a way to have, a side hustle and make some money over and above his $175,000 a year income from the U.S. government. We call Republicans pieces of shit all the time. This Democrat, this Robert Menendez and his wife Nadine, they too are pieces of shit. We can bitch about the Republicans, but we need to talk about the Democrats too. As I've said, we've got bigger problems with people trying to overthrow the government and destroy our way of life. We've got to contend with that, but we also got to contend with this shit. Once we get the Republicans out of the mix, out of the equation, and we kind of try to get back to some normality, we've got to focus on how government runs generally, because it's not running well. There's a lot of corruption by people you might think are perfectly honest. So we've got to expose all that stuff once we get done with the MAGA bullshit. We still have a lot of work to do and a lot of changes to make. So Robert Menendez is indicted with his wife Nadine for fucking taking bribes. If the Republicans are a piece of shit for doing the same thing, then Menendez and his wife are also pieces of shit.